You understand English, you watch videos, you follow conversations. Maybe you even laugh at the right jokes, but when it's your turn to speak, you freeze. It's not grammar. Not vocabulary, not even a lack of practice. The real reason, it's that invisible gap, the space between knowing and saying. You hear a sentence and understand it. But when you try to reply, nothing, just silence. Let me take you back to a memory. I was sitting across from a friend in a coffee shop. She was Vietnamese, had been studying English for years. We were having a casual chat, mostly in her language. Suddenly the waiter came over and asked, "Still or sparkling?" She froze. Not because she didn't understand, she knew exactly what he said. But when she tried to answer, her mouth didn't move. Her brain went into panic mode. After he left, she looked at me and whispered, "Why does this keep happening? I knew what he said." I just couldn't answer. And that's when I realized, so many learners are stuck in this silent zone. They understand English. They watch YouTube, movies, podcasts. But when it's time to use the language, nothing comes out. Hi, I'm Jackson. Welcome to Jackson, English Stories, where we explore the real emotional journey of learning English. Not just the grammar, but the fear, the frustration, and the small wins that make all the difference. If you've ever had that moment when you understood everything but couldn't say a word, this one's for you. Share your story in the comments. Tell me, when was the last time you froze? And if this hits home, don't forget to subscribe. Not because you have to, but because maybe, just maybe, this is the place where your English starts to breathe. Now let's get into the story behind this silent zone and how to break out of it. I remember my own moment. It happened in a busy subway station in London. I had been living there for a few months, studying English intensely. My listening skills were sharp. I could follow news broadcasts, understand movie dialogues, and even laugh at jokes in sitcoms. But that day, when a stranger asked me, "Hey, which way to the Jubilee line?" I froze. I understood the question instantly, but my body didn't react. My brain scrambled for the words, my mouth stayed shut. After 2 awkward seconds, I pointed in a random direction and mumbled, that way, I think." He walked off. And I stood there, burning inside. I was so angry at myself, not because I didn't know the words, but because I couldn't access them when I needed them. It felt like there was a thick fog between my thoughts and my mouth, and maybe you felt that too. That delay. That hesitation. That internal block that turns clear understanding into blurry silence. Later that night, I wrote in my journal, "What's wrong with me? I understand everything. Why can't I speak?" But here's what I've learned since then. There's nothing wrong with you. What's happening is completely normal. In fact, it's part of how language works in the brain. You've built one skill, listening, but speaking, that's a whole different muscle. So if you've ever blamed yourself for freezing in English, hold on. You're not broken. You're just untrained. And training is something we can fix. In the next part, let's look at someone else who experienced this same thing and how their breakthrough might give you a roadmap for your own. Let me tell you about Arjun. He was one of my students from India, hardworking, polite, and incredibly dedicated. He had been learning English for over 7 years. His grammar tests were nearly perfect. He could understand TED Talks, read novels, and explain complex ideas in writing. But in live conversation, total freeze. In our first session, I asked, "So, tell me about your weekend." He smiled nervously, looked down and said, "It was, normal." And then, silence. Not because he didn't have anything to say, but because he was translating in his head, trying to make it perfect. I asked him, "What would you say if we were speaking in Hindi right now?" He lit up and answered instantly, "I went to the market with my sister. We bought mangoes. Then we watched a movie at home." And that was the moment everything shifted. I told him, "Stop trying to be perfect. Start trying to be clear." Over the next few weeks, we built a new habit. No more preparing answers in his head. No more writing full sentences before speaking. We practiced quick response drills. I'd ask, "What did you eat?" And he had 3 seconds to answer. Didn't matter if it was simple. Didn't matter if it was wrong. The rule was just say something. At first, he struggled. His answers were short, broken, nervous, but slowly he stopped freezing. Slowly, the fear gave way to rhythm. And one day, without even realizing it, he told me an entire story about losing his phone on the bus, and he didn't pause once. After that, he told me, "I used to think English was something I had to get right. Now I see. It's something I have to live in." His fluency didn't come from more studying. It came from more speaking, from letting go of perfection, from choosing progress over fear. In the next part, I'll break down exactly what makes this kind of breakthrough happen, and how you can create it for yourself, even without a teacher. Here's the secret no one tells you. Speaking and understanding are two completely different systems in your brain. You've probably been developing your input skills, listening and reading, for years, but your output skills, speaking and writing, are like unused muscles, and muscles that aren't trained, they freeze. So what was really holding Arjun back? The same thing holding most learners back: the filter. That voice in your head that says, "Is this the right word? What if I make a mistake? What if they don't understand me?" That filter is the enemy of fluency, because it creates hesitation, and hesitation kills flow. So how do we turn that off? You don't. You turn down the volume, not by fighting it, but by creating faster reactions. That's where quick response training comes in. It teaches your brain to move before the fear can interrupt. Here's a simple exercise. Grab a timer. Ask yourself easy questions. What's your name? What do you see? What's the weather like? And answer each one in under 3 seconds. No overthinking, just speak. Another powerful trick? Story retelling. Watch a 1-minute video. Then close your eyes and retell what you just saw in your own words. Don't aim for perfect grammar. Aim for continuity. Keep the story moving. And here's a mindset shift. Practice speaking before you feel ready. Most people wait until they're good enough to speak. But speaking is how you get good. Think of it like this. You don't learn to ride a bike by watching videos about balance. You learn by wobbling, falling, and getting back on. English is the same. If you want to build speaking fluency, you need to train your output. Start messy. Stay consistent. Celebrate clarity, not perfection. In the next part, I'll show you what learners like Arjun gain from real-world conversations, and why spontaneous talk, not textbook drills, creates real transformation. Let's be honest, textbooks can't prepare you for real life. They're safe, structured, and slow, but real conversations, they're messy, unpredictable, full of pauses, laughter, interruptions, and slang. And that's exactly why they work. When Arjun started speaking with real people, waiters, classmates, strangers at networking events, his brain had no time to prepare. He had to respond in the moment, and that's when everything changed. Because here's the thing, fluency doesn't live in your notes, it lives in your reactions. One day, Arjun told me about a moment that surprised him. He was at a bus stop. A tourist asked for directions, and without thinking, he responded. Quickly, naturally, the words weren't perfect, but they were alive. He said, "It was like my brain stopped asking for permission and just spoke." That's what spontaneous conversation does. It bypasses the fear center and activates instinct. It teaches you rhythm, not just vocabulary. Emotion, not just grammar. And yes, it's scary at first. You'll fumble. You'll forget words. You'll feel awkward. But then something beautiful happens. The other person smiles. They nod. They help. They get it. That moment, the one where your broken sentence is still understood, is the moment you start to believe, maybe I can do this. So don't wait for the perfect time. Don't wait for confidence. Confidence comes after the conversation, not before. Start with tiny talks. Ask someone about the time. Order coffee in English. Compliment a stranger's shirt. Simple, short. Real. Because every real conversation gives you something a lesson never could. Proof. In the next part, I'll show you how to build a daily habit of speaking, even if you live alone. Don't have native speakers around and feel too shy to start. Here's the truth. You don't need a classroom or a partner to build fluency. What you need is a system, a habit. A way to make English part of your everyday rhythm, even if you're the only one around. Let's start with the mirror. Sounds silly. It's actually powerful. Every morning or night, stand in front of your mirror and describe your day, out loud. In English. I woke up late. I drank coffee. I didn't want to work today. No one's judging. No one's interrupting. You're building fluency in a safe, consistent space. Next, use your phone. Open your voice recorder. Pick a topic, your weekend, your favorite movie, your dream travel destination. Speak for 1 minute, then play it back, not to criticize but to become aware. Do you pause too much? Do you repeat the same word? That awareness is where growth begins. Another technique, narrate your life. As you move through your day, speak what you're doing. I'm brushing my teeth. I'm cutting vegetables. I forgot my keys again. This may sound basic, but it trains your brain to think in English without needing anyone else. And here's something fun. Create fake conversations. Pretend you're at a restaurant. Play both roles. Hi, can I see the menu? Sure, here you go. Do you have anything vegetarian? This kind of role play unlocks flow and prepares you for real-life moments. If you want to go further, use technology. AI apps. Language exchange platforms. Talk to a bot. Comment on videos using voice. Anything that lets you produce English, not just consume it. The goal isn't to speak perfectly, it's to speak daily. Even 3 minutes a day builds muscle. Even 30 seconds in the mirror rewires your confidence. You don't need permission. You need momentum. In the next part, I'll share how learners like you turned solo practice into social confidence, and what happened when they finally used their voice in the real world. Meet Sophia. She's a graphic designer from Argentina who had been practicing English alone for over a year. Every day, she talked to her mirror. She narrated her life. She recorded voice notes and shadowed podcasts, but she had never spoken to a real person in English. Until one day, she was in line at a bookstore when the cashier suddenly asked, "Would you like a bag?" It was a tiny question. Simple, but in that moment, Sophia didn't freeze. She smiled and said, "No thanks, I brought one." That moment stayed with her all day. Not because it was perfect, but because it was real. A real conversation, a real response. And it came naturally. She told me later, that one sentence felt like I had climbed a mountain. This is what happens when you practice consistently, even alone. You build reflexes. You build readiness. So when life presents the moment, you respond without panic. Another learner, Hassan from Morocco, spent months talking to himself during his evening walks. He would describe what he saw, how he felt, and what he wanted to do the next day, all in English. One night he passed by a tourist who looked lost. Without thinking, he said, "Are you looking for something?" They ended up talking for 5 minutes. That conversation, it wasn't perfect, but it changed everything. Hassan said, "I didn't feel like a student. I felt like a person." That's the magic of small practice. It prepares you for real life, not someday, but today. Because every sentence you say alone becomes a stepping stone for the ones you say with others. So keep talking to your mirror. Keep recording your voice. Keep shadowing that podcast. You're not wasting time. You're building fluency, quietly, steadily, for the moment when English finally leaves your room and enters the world with you. In the next part, we'll look at the final mindset shift that holds everything together and how to stop measuring your English by correctness and start measuring it by courage. Let's be real. Many of us grew up thinking language learning is about being correct. Red marks on essays. Grammar drills, memorizing the right way to say things. But in the real world, people aren't grading you. They're listening to you, and most of the time, they're rooting for you. I've seen learners say, "He go work yesterday," and still have a great conversation. Why? Because communication happened. Because the message got across. Because the courage to speak matters more than the grammar you missed. Think of your favorite speakers. Are they perfect? Probably not, but they're powerful. Why? Because they connect, they risk, they show up. That's what I want for you. You're going to mess up. You'll forget words. You'll say awkward things. And that's okay, because fluency isn't about getting every word right. It's about not letting the wrong one stop you. One of the best definitions I've ever heard for fluency is this. Fluency is your ability to keep going, even when it's not perfect. So next time you speak English, don't aim to impress. Aim to connect. Here's a mindset you can practice every day. If you forget a word, describe it. If you mess up a sentence, laugh and keep talking. If someone corrects you, thank them and move forward. You're not here to win a spelling bee. You're here to live a bigger life, so speak. Speak when it's messy. Speak when it's shaky. Speak because your story matters. And if anyone ever makes you feel small for trying, remember this: their judgment doesn't shrink your effort. It reveals their insecurity. In the final part, I'll leave you with a simple challenge and a quiet promise, one that could change how you speak English forever. You've made it to the end of this story, and if you're still here, it means something inside you is ready, not for perfection. Not for fluency overnight, but for change. So here's my challenge to you. It's not dramatic, it won't go viral, but it could be the moment everything starts moving. Say one sentence in English out loud today. That's it. One sentence. Doesn't matter what it is. Doesn't matter how good it sounds. Say it to your mirror. To your pet. To the sky. To yourself. Then tomorrow, say 2. The day after, say 3. Start small. But start real, because you already understand English. You've already learned more than enough. What you need now isn't more information. It's more action. Tiny, brave, repeated action. And here's the quiet promise I want you to make, not to me, but to yourself. I will speak, even if it's awkward, even if it's short. Even if I'm afraid, I will speak. That's the beginning of fluency, not when you know everything, but when you decide to speak anyway. And if you need someone to say this with you, leave a comment. Tell me what sentence you said today. Let's build this habit together, because your voice matters, and your English is not waiting for perfection. It's waiting for permission from you. If you've made it this far, I want you to take a moment, breathe. Let it sink in. You didn't just listen to a video about English. You listened to a story about fear, resistance, action, and hope. And somewhere in that story was you. This journey you're on, it's not a straight road. It twists. It pauses. It surprises you. But if you keep walking, even slowly, even quietly, it will carry you further than you imagined. So don't wait for permission to speak. You already have it. You don't need to sound perfect. You just need to sound like you. Whether your sentences are smooth or stuttered, whether your words come easy or shaky, what matters is that they come from you. Speak, not because you're ready, but because you're brave enough to try. Speak, because the world doesn't need your silence. It needs your voice. This is not the end. It's the beginning of the English that lives in you finally being set free. So go. Say that sentence. Tell your story, and when you do, I'll be right here, cheering for you.